Hey everybody, welcome to the 15th episode of MAME Politics. I have a special guest today, Colin Dyer. Thanks for joining me, dude.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I've known Colin for a while. He's a fellow electronic musician that I first met on the internet. And now I know Colin in real life. He moved to the Bay Area about 12 years ago now?
Yeah, about 12 years ago.
Yeah, so
2008.
um, so today we're going to be playing, I believe it is, and I'm probably technically wrong about this, so someone can yell at me, but I believe this is the third R-Type arcade game. Now there was an R-Type made for Super Nintendo called R-Type 3 that, from what I understand, is a totally different game than this. But I believe this was the third in the series. So first came R-Type, then came R-Type 2, and this was the third arcade game. The one on the Super Nintendo, Super R-Type, is kind of a mashup between R-Type 1 and 2. And maybe we'll play those at some point in this show. But today we chose this game. Colin's an R-Type fan, and we were basically trying to figure out a way we can play a two-player game. And this is, as far as I know, the only two-player simultaneous R-Type game. And you've never played this before, right?
Not this one, not the arcade versions.
Okay.
I played like the original one and then the SNES version.
Awesome. So I'm going to hop over to the chat right now, see how everybody's doing. Let's get the hell out of here. This always takes me a second to do because this is not a professional show yet, everybody. So I appreciate your patience.
It's a very professional studio
Oh yeah.
for how not professional the show is.
Hey everybody. How's it going? You have a lion dance show with my kung fu school for the third and final New Year of this holiday season. Peter H., that sounds very exciting. Good luck with that. How's it going? John, are you asking me how I came up with this idea? Hey, John. Hey, Trish. I see some familiar faces in here. Hi, Tom. Hi, White Seed. Yeah, I mean, it actually was an idea that was slightly stolen from my friend Michael Buchanan, who he came over to my house and saw that I got this Pandora's Box system, which has on it over 2,000 arcade games preloaded onto it. The collection on the Pandora's Box has grown to about 5,000 now. And he was just suggesting I just start streaming it online because I was really into playing it. So I thought, well, I haven't been doing political streams that often recently, and I want to be doing them more often, but it's also kind of sometimes too psychologically intense for me to sit in front of a webcam for over an hour just talking the whole time. So this was, I thought, sort of a good balance. I could sort of de-stress myself and play video games and talk about politics with you guys too, like talk about serious shit. So I feel like it was an experimental concept at first, but it seems like people like it, and you guys are in the chat to join me. So yeah, I'm gonna continue to do these. John, my audio's too low. Okay, so here I'm gonna boost it. How's Colin's audio?
1, 2.
Colin.
How do I sound? Sound fine?
Yeah, does Colin sound okay? Am I better now?
Does it sound professional on this very professional agenda that we have?
Okay, cool.
Hey, it's Giselle.
Do you know her?
That's my girlfriend.
Oh, hey Giselle. Thanks for joining us. My mom actually joined one of these chats a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I think I was in there for like 2 seconds.
And I told her to jump out of the chat before people started saying vulgar sexual things to her. Don't be nice to my mom, guys. Appreciate the ambient recommendation, Robbie. Checked out Zoviet Francis shouting at the ground, and it's right up my alley. Really ahead of its time in some ways. That's really cool that you checked out Zoviet France. I think it's the second to last track on that album, Shouting at the Ground. Have you heard this album?
No, I haven't.
You should listen to it.
I've only listened to like a playlist.
Okay.
Of Zoe France.
Well, this particular album, Shouting at the Ground, I think it came out in 1989. And I would be willing to bet my entire studio that Boards of Canada were heavily influenced by this album. And I think, honestly, the whole hauntology, sort of retro fetishizing, like old public broadcasting kind of sounds and sound beds, Soviet France was largely responsible for sort of pushing that trend. And Shattering at the Ground, second to last song, a shamanary influence, is one of my favorite songs of all time. I mean, it's this beautiful reversed melody that just keeps repeating throughout the whole song. It's like 25 minutes long. It's a beautiful track. If you've listened to MIDI Roots Radio, you've probably heard me use different sections of it a couple times because I'm so obsessed with it. Trish says hi, Colin.
Hi, Trish.
She's listening from Australia. So if my mic gets too fucky or low or anything, just let me know as soon as possible. I'll try to keep an eye on the chat. But I guess first, I mean, let's talk about the most shocking thing in the news today, which is probably the most surprising and shocking celebrity death since maybe JFK Jr. Kobe Bryant just died in a fiery helicopter crash with his daughter, who was 13. Super sad. For some reason, one of the first things that came to my mind was I want to know what Bill Burr has to say about this, because Bill Burr is a helicopter pilot. He's obsessed with Kobe Bryant, basketball, and sports. And yeah, I mean, I just want to know what the hell happened. I've never flown in a helicopter. I've always been too scared to. Have you flown in one before?
No. I'd like to.
You would. You don't have like a fear of helicopters?
Maybe today.
Okay. Yeah. Not in general.
No.
Okay. So like if you were in like Hawaii and you had an opportunity to go on one of those like helicopter cliff sightseeing tours, you would do it.
Yeah, if I had the opportunity. If it wasn't like $1,000 or something.
Yeah, I would have to say I probably wouldn't do it. I've always been terrified of just smaller aircraft. Terrify me. Even flying in like some passenger airliners that were like smaller than a typical plane have been really terrifying to me. So yeah, it's a super sad thing, and for some reason, I made me think of back to this story. That there was for people who are as young as I am, a child of the 80s, you probably haven't heard of this story, where there was a company called New York Airways in the late 70s that basically was trying to launch this new trendy service for middle class to upper class people, mostly rich people, who didn't want to get stuck in New York commuter traffic and who didn't want to take the subway. So this company called New York Airways actually set up a fleet of passenger helicopters that could hold something like, I think like 20 people per copter, and it would pick people up from different high rises in Manhattan. One of them was the Pan Am building in Manhattan, and because of a terrible accident that happened in this company, they basically closed down the company, and the whole industry of helicopter commuting was kind of died at that point. It was such a huge deal when it happened. It was in the news for a long time. It's the first time anything like this had happened since like the Concorde crashing, I think, which also kind of tanked that company. They closed not too long after that. But on May 16th, 1977, this company had a helicopter that killed 5 people in Manhattan. It was essentially idling to pick people up with the blade spinning. And as people were getting into the helicopter, it tipped over, and basically the aircraft started to shatter because of the force of the propeller. A bunch of people literally got torn apart by the helicopter blade on the rooftop of the Pan Am building. It was a horrifying event. There's still some witnesses that survived and saw the whole thing. So yeah, I mean, I learned about this probably, I want to say maybe like 2 years ago, and it just further emboldened my my fear of helicopters, which it's
also kind of an omen for like impending dystopia.
It is. It really is. Yeah. I mean, even the Concorde, I don't think they even have passenger airlines that go that fast anymore that are operating right now. And it was considered a very prestigious, luxurious way to fly. And yeah, that company is gone. Um, Interesting. Tom Collector says the guy who did all the helicopter stunts on Terminator 2 wound up eventually dying in a helicopter stunt. Sad because he did such an awesome job. Yeah, every time I watch Terminator 2, I actually wince during the scene when the helicopter goes underneath the overpass to chase Sarah Connor in the SWAT team van. But I don't know if that's an actual. Have you seen that movie recently?
Terminator
Yeah.
2?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it recently.
Okay.
No.
It's wild, dude. I mean, it seems like one of the last movies where they actually like put a lot of people at risk, like making the movie. I mean, in terms of like the stunt work and stuff. And James Cameron is already crazy. I mean, if you've watched the making of The Abyss, he almost killed like Ed Harris and a bunch of the actors during the filming of it. They filmed the entire film underwater in the abyss in a nuclear cooling tower that was abandoned, and they covered the surface of the water with black spherical beads to create the illusion of like really deep under the water.
I think a few people were like hospitalized
Yeah, well, I'm sure. Yeah,
during the filming of it.
I know. Yeah, it's one of the most grueling behind the scenes documentaries you will ever watch. Yeah, Whiteseed says almost ridiculous how many famous people have died in small aircrafts. Even being rich and having access to some of the best aircrafts doesn't mean you're going to be safe. No, I mean, it's just we were talking about Paul Wellstone on a previous episode of this. It's one of the scariest, most terrifying things to me, honestly. And I can't help but play in my head scenes of me dying in a fiery plane crash every time I take a plane flight. It's just something I can't help. I don't have PTSD from anything real. It just sort of happens every time.
I think about that scene from Fight Club.
Where they get sucked out of the plane?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is also kind of like the scene in Final Destination. Have you seen that?
No.
Where they get sucked out of a plane too. Yeah, it's pretty terrifying. Yeah, Tom Collector, you're talking about Jennifer Jason Leigh's father. His name escapes me right now. Somebody help me out from the chat. He was filming the Twilight Zone movie, and him and two child actors got decapitated by helicopter blades from a helicopter stunt. Yeah, Vincent Morrow. I think that's Tom Collector. Or it's something Morrow. Fred Morrow. I'm embarrassed for getting his name wrong, but yeah, really sad incident. And actually, Vic Morrow, Trish, thank you. And if you're curious and you want to look at a morbid behind the scenes video clip of that, there is actually footage of that happening that you can look up on YouTube. It's pretty disturbing. Really, really horrifying. So yeah, we have some other subjects we wanted to discuss. We wanted to go into the primary a little bit, impeachment, all these weird Lev Parnas recordings that are coming out of Trump. We want to talk about some of that stuff, but I think we're going to just start by getting right into R-Type Leo first. And should we try to make it through this whole goddamn game today?
If we can.
Yeah, well...
I mean, do you have like infinite continues?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's MAME, so... Well,
is this thing...
He asked a valid question because, as I've been saying on these shows, like games did not start giving you infinite continues until like the late 80s. For some reason, they really wanted arcade games to be a challenge. And even in like Ghosts and Goblins and some of those games, you get like 2 or 3 continues and you're done. And you have to start over. Contra, similar game. You do not have infinite continues. Even if you had a whole, $10 of quarters in your pocket, you actually have to be really good at the game. So later games have more leeway. R-Type Leo is one of those games that gives you a lot of leeway. So it's kind of perfect for this stream and a two-player session. We have both never played this game before. I'm gonna actually take that back. I played it for like a minute just to test it out for today's episode. But yeah.
Is this are these all licensed, or is it like a bootleg kind of like a Raspberry Pi kind of thing? Don't
Well,
answer that question.
I don't know if it's against the YouTube rules, so I will just say that it is running off a Raspberry Pi type of a thing.
All right.
And
'Cause a lot
and
of
I
it-
own
a lot
all
of those are
these.
licensed.
I own all of these
Yeah.
as arcade boards
Mhm.
in my storage space. So I am legally allowed to do this. Yeah, this is running off a Raspberry Pi. It's called a Pandora's Box 6S arcade stick. One of my viewers recently was inspired by this show, and they bought themselves a 9D Pandora's Box. So I'm really excited to hear how good that one is. So yeah, this one I think came out like maybe 3 years ago. So there's more powerful ones out now that can run Nintendo 64 emulators and the like, but this one only runs MAME and PS1. And Adam G asked, "Have I ever played Einhander for PS1?" Yes, Einhander was awesome, and I think it was one of the only action games ever made by SquareSoft, the makers of like Final Fantasy and stuff. Do you remember that game, Einhander?
No.
It's a side-scroller shooter, kind of in the style of R-Type, for PS1 only. And yeah, you know what, White Seed and Adam G, I'm gonna play that eventually on here because this also emulates PS1 games pretty goddamn well. So let's get into R-Type Leo, and might have to adjust the sound a little bit when we start, but we're gonna get right into this shit right now. Here we go. Oh, let me pop some more coins in there. We're putting real tokens in here right now.
Hey, you got any money? Damn it. Left all my quarters in the car. Do I have to
Okay,
hit
so
it?
I think you do have to hit it.
Oh, there it is.
Okay, so Colin is a pink ship and I'm the blue ship. And then to launch your little, I don't know what they're called in this game, but you use the second button to launch your little orbs or whatever the fuck once you get them. Here, grab that. Yeah. And it's also auto fire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You don't have
which
to
makes
shoot.
it so much easier. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things I've noticed on this show, since I've been doing it so far, is that the clickety clackety sounds on the joystick is like so goddamn loud that when we're really getting into a game, like when we and Lori were playing Guardians of the Hood yesterday, we were like just straight up like click 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 click. You can just hear it the whole time on the broadcast.
Yeah, you might have to set up like something to put over it.
Yeah, like a sound dampener.
Yeah. I always like just the designs in this game.
Oh, they're beautiful. Yeah.
'Cause they're all very like H.R. Giger
Uh-huh.
inspired.
Especially the second game has better. I'd say it's not that it's graphically superior to this, but it has better like art design than this game does. This game feels a little bit more like they were trying to go for like a more traditional shooter vibe or something.
Mm-hmm.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's a little less R-typey than the previous two R-type games. Even the music is a little more upbeat, kind of funky. Like the previous R-type games, their music was like kind of scary, a little bit. I mean, it was just like a little bit more serious feeling of a game. How's the sound, guys? What do you think? Oh yeah, I love that fucking beam. Oh, dude, we killed him.
That was easy.
Fuck yeah. It's like a count in. That's hilarious.
What was that one game that you played? Roston?
Oh, Roston. Have you played that before?
No, but
Oh,
like,
dude, it's awesome.
I liked the music in it.
Oh, the music in it's like so fucking good. Yeah.
Did you ever play Chican Forever Man?
No, is that arcade?
No, it was for
Oh yes, no,
Genesis.
yes, the one that's really, really hard that has a really bad controls.
I can't remember.
Okay,
how bad the controls
basically,
were,
the game has really good aesthetics, but it's very, very difficult. That's what I remember about it.
Yeah.
You're like a little guy in a hat. He looks almost like a Mortal Kombat character.
Yeah, he looks like a zombie.
Yeah.
He kind of does look like a Mortal Kombat
Yeah.
character. But yeah, like the music in that has like all those classic, like the sound of it kind of sounds like they used a similar chip
Oh, nice.
to
Okay.
the ones made in like Ralston.
Interesting. Oh, it's got like a very squelchy FM vibe.
Yeah, it has like real dissonant FM sounds in it.
Yeah, Colin is an electronic musician, and we're both big fans of FM synthesis. And that's one of the coolest parts about emulating these old arcade games, especially the late 80s, is they all have like just pure FM synthesis sound beds, music and sound. And it sounds better than really anything on the Sega Genesis in terms of like fidelity, because the Sega Genesis, at least their sample ability was pretty low quality.
Ouch.
Wait, can we? What the fuck?
Yeah, if you hit the walls, you'll die. It's what I've learned several times. Yeah, they actually, I think they debuted a new synth that's supposed to be based on the chip from the Mega Drive, which was what the Sega Genesis was originally called.
You mean Plug? Was it the? Are you talking about the Plug company stuff?
No, it was called. God, I have it on my phone right now.
Oh, damn. I feel like this game is like far easier than other R-type games.
Especially when you have infinite continuous.
Yeah.
I guess we are gonna go through the whole.
Tom Collector says that the arcade chip was different, not the same chip as the Genesis. Yeah, I don't know the exact chip's differences, but just audibly, the way that it sounds versus the arcade stuff, it's definitely different sounding. The stuff on arcade games is a lot cleaner sounding to me. Like, you can compare the two. Like, for example, try playing Terminator 2 arcade on the Genesis versus the arcade, and it just sounds so much better, even though they're both using FM synth chips that are pretty similar sounding.
It could have just been like the processor that they used in it in order to.
Tom Collector says the actual chip FM chip difference is YM2612 versus the YM3438. Which one is which, Tom? Which one is the one used in arcades? And I wonder if there was there ever a console system that used that same chip? The one that was used in arcades? Because the Neo Geo, as far as I understand, was one of the only other console systems that used FM synthesizer in it. So I'm curious about that. Gaten Ho 665 says, check out Corey Peen's Twitter thread from last night. He was high and listened to the whole leaked recording. Tons of crazy shit. Are you talking about the Lev Parnas recordings? With Trump or with Rudy? How much recordings are there of Trump? Because how weird is it that Trump is the only president that I know of to like be secretly recorded so many, like, how many times has he been secretly recorded at this point?
It was only once or twice for.
Well, Omarosa.
Nixon.
Well, no, Nixon recorded himself.
Oh, right, yeah.
He thought
He
Nixon was so weird. He actually thought that recording himself was going to somehow like protect him from liability or something.
Yeah, and that ended
So
up being.
yeah, it was like it was his
That screwed him.
So why is it that that Trump has been secretly recorded like several times by people? Is it because there's just more people with cell phones and recording devices now in this era? Because Omarosa, remember the old apprentice hire that was like in the White House? She actually recorded him too, remember?
Yeah.
She recorded herself getting fired by General Kelly or whatever that guy's name was. Oh, Tom, you're dropping some really great facts here about the Yamaha FM synth chip differences. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you need to pause for a second?
I'm just gonna look up whatever that new synth was.
Here, we're gonna pause it. Colin's gonna drop some of his own FM knowledge here. Yeah, White Seed is talking about the cheap Yamaha PSS model FM synths, which I think are kind of like the Portatones, like the Casios. He says, although they aren't DX7s, I still love the sound. Very unique. Yes, I agree. Those are great. One of my favorite FM synths ever, though, is actually this thing here. I'm gonna show you guys.
Yeah, this one that just it's up for pre-order right now. It's from a company called Twisted Electrons.
It's hardware?
Yeah, it's a hardware FM synth, and it uses, what is it? It uses the YM2612 FM chip.
So this one either uses the one for the arcade or the Genesis. If you guys haven't seen this, it's called the Sandwich FM. Let me put it up to this webcam. It's a Sandwich FM box, and you could buy these as kits still. And there are also people you can find online who will assemble them for you as kits. But I got lucky enough to find this one already assembled on the forum for the FM box people. And it's great. So if you're into like a hardware Sega Genesis style sound FM synth, I would recommend trying to track down one of these. But you can't find these for usually less than $200. But if you want to do it on a affordable, if you want to spend very little money on one, I would recommend getting the Yamaha FBO1, which is 8 voice multi-timbral, so you can actually run 8 different MIDI channels and 8 different instruments on this thing. The only thing is it doesn't have a software, or doesn't have a editing on the panel, so you have to actually load a software editor to use this. But you can find these for $20 still. I mean, it's incredible. And it sounds really, really like gnarly and kind of like low fidelity, but in a good way.
I kind of prefer that stuff. Like, I have a Digitone, and it's just too clean.
Yeah, you know what?
I mean, it's a brilliant synth, but
do you like
this one was the one I was talking about, where it has.
Oh, tell them about it.
Yeah, so like the one that I was just talking about was it's from a company called Twisted Electrons. It's called the Mega FM. Again, it uses the YM2612 chip, which what Tom Collector said that it was used in the original Genesis. So like the
And
Mega
this is
Drive.
a hardware synth. This is
Yeah,
hardware?
it's a hardware synth, and it has
So
like
it actually uses the real chip.
Yeah, it uses
Holy shit!
yeah, a ton of like
Oh, dude. Okay.
knobs and faders and stuff.
This
So
what
you
call
can mix it live and everything. It's like a lot of FM synths are like you have to like menu dive.
Yeah,
on
all
a
of
lot
them are pretty much. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
pretty much
very
all of
few of them. The Digitone has some panel knobs and stuff.
It has
yeah.
like 8 knobs or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, you still have to do like a bunch of menu diving, and like you can't just quickly, twist something on the fly and change how the thing is. Like you have to go through different stuff. But this one has like literal dedicated knobs, dedicated faders for pretty much everything on there. There's not much of a digital display.
Say the name of that one again, because Tom is really knowledgeable about this. He's saying that there are different under $200 options that use these old chips. One is called the Mega Mid 5 by Adon Lawrence, and another one is called by a company called Casser Synths called DAFM Synth Genesis. Is that's not the same one as that?
No, this one's called Mega FM.
So Tom, if you haven't seen this one yet, look up Mega FM. What Colin just pulled up here on his phone. It's probably similar to those ones that you're talking about, but this one has a ton of like faders and knobs right on the panel, which is like, whoa, like that's really enticing.
Because it looks like they're designing it to be very tactile oriented.
Yeah.
So like it's very like immediate.
Which really like you're saying, no FM synthesizer has ever really broken it out like that, except for, has anyone ever seen, or have you ever seen the original DX7 controller?
No, not like I've used a DX7 a bunch of times, but I haven't used the controller for it.
So any FM synth heads in here, look up the original tactile method of manipulating FM synthesis. It's the DX7 controller. It's about the size of, it's about 3 feet long and 2 feet tall, and you can only find them for like $5,000 or above. So the controller, which all it does is it sends sysx to the DX7, it's $5,000. You can find a DX7 on the used market for like $200 still. Yeah. So if you can find one of those, they're incredible. They're very, very rare, and it's probably the most tactile thing out there.
I feel like
What do
I'm
you-
hawking this product.
No, it's fine.
This
No,
is my-
hawk
my
it, dude.
Apple
Hawk it.
product.
Sweet Nugs asks, what kind of conspiracies you think are going to be peddled about Kobe Bryant and why? Well, obviously the main one being that he was about to blow the whistle on Pedogate. That's going to be the number one conspiracy. Other than that, that he was involved in some kind of satanic ritualistic abuse thing. But I already see people, and it is creepy. I mean,
He betrayed the Illuminati, and so they had to
Yeah.
die for it. Yeah.
there is some sort of weird thing where conspiracy people think like these black celebrities are specifically Illuminati, like Beyonce and Jay-Z. Do you know about this? That they're really leaning into the idea that Jay-Z specifically is like a high up Illuminati. I don't know what priest or whatever you call it, but yeah, I mean, I hate to laugh at all about what just happened with Kobe Bryant. It's extremely tragic. But yeah, in all these type of situations, there's always conspiracies. I mean, what was the last time a celebrity died where like that you can remember a conspiracy around it?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, the Princess Di was.
That was a big one, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like TV specials made about what they think happened to her.
Yeah.
There's tons of conspiracies about that, but probably the last one that actually made me upset, I had to defriend people on Facebook because after Philip Seymour Hoffman died from a heroin or fentanyl overdose, I'm not sure exactly how he died, like 3 people in my comments were like, this was a hit by the Illuminati, this was a satanic sacrifice and all this shit. And I'm just like, dude, why within 24 hours of a celebrity dying is that where your brain's going? I mean, it just made me really upset because I was already like, I mean, he's like one of my favorite actors of all time, so I was already pretty upset about that. And yeah, it always happens. And QAnon is still saying that, not QAnon directly, but the QAnon's followers are saying that JFK Jr. is still alive and that he's going to come back at some point. Have you heard of this?
No.
Yeah, they think that JFK Jr. is Q and that he's the one. Yeah, it's weird stuff.
That is definitely. Like, I mean, the Illuminati would have to have like the most amount of like cooperation out of any organization in time at all, like in human history.
It's true.
Like, how would they be? Like, you can't even get 10 people to order a pizza that makes sense. So it's like, how would these people like organize everything?
Ruben Garcia says it's because of the Freemason imagery that Jay-Z uses in his image and concerts. Yeah, it's interesting. I do notice that a lot more like mainstream pop artists are using that kind of imagery, and I think it's because of the conspiracy theories online. Like it's almost like they're playing into that. Like, for example, what's that guy's name? It starts with a D, I want to say. Who's the guy that does the cell phone song? Drake. He has on one of his like logos or something on his last album, it looks like exactly like the Bohemian Grove Al. And I feel like that can't be a coincidence. He's probably like knows about those conspiracies and he just wants people to freak out. Maybe, I don't know.
And girls stopped getting those owl tattoos years ago.
yeah.
So it definitely isn't that.
Yeah, Tom Collector, how dumb do you have to be to believe that just because JFK had a handsome son? I mean, yeah, that probably has something to do with it. I mean, he is a handsome dude. He died too young. So, yeah, I don't get it. I honestly don't even know how that started. Q followers will keep showing a picture of the JFK gravesite with that it looks like a Q, I guess, in Arlington Cemetery. So I don't really understand. But, yeah. Should we get back to the game?
Yeah.
You guys want to see some more R-Type Leo? Keep your questions coming, though. We'll try to answer them as we're playing. Holy shit, this is...
Damn.
Now it's bullet hell.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude. It always sucks in a shooting game when you get depowered when you die.
Yeah.
It's like you lose all your stuff. That's the biggest bummer of playing these games. Oh, fuck. Luckily, though, they give you some weapons back after you die. Jesus Christ.
Damn.
I'm gonna steal
I've died
yours.
so many times. At least they make you like you have like that kind of invincibility.
Yeah, for like a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of speedrun people who use that in games where you can you instantly die and come back on the screen.
Yeah.
The speedrunners exploit that in a lot of games.
Did you ever play like Ikaruga?
Of course. Oh, that's one of my favorite games. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's like.
That's a real
the
bullet hell
epitome of-
shooter.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah. Well, did you ever play
super
Radiant
difficult.
Silvergun, the spiritual prequel to it?
No.
It doesn't have the same gameplay mechanic with the color switching, but it's equally as crazy. It's actually harder than Ikaruga. If you guys haven't played Ikaruga, it's a conceptual shooter, overhead shooter, where you can switch the color of your ship depending on what color the enemies and the bullets are that are flying at you. And if you switch to the same color, you like basically absorb the damage and you don't get hurt. But you have to. The whole gameplay mechanic revolves around you having to constantly switch back and forth, and it's kind of a real doozy because it adds a whole other thing you have to kind of really focus on as you're playing. What the hell is that? It looks good.
Oh, mini boss. Wow.
Fuck. I think this is the straight boss. Why are these bosses so easy? Oh shit. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, okay. I said that too soon. Fuck. Damn. Dude.
Good
I
God.
feel like this would be easier in an overhead shooter, this type of boss. Something about the
Yeah.
side view makes it more confusing. Let's steal whatever that is down there. Oh yeah.
Oh, do you have like super moves in there?
No, just you can launch your thing. So when you grab it, that's kind of one of the main gameplay mechanics of R-Type is you launch your shield or whatever the hell they are. Yeah, Sweet Nugs. That's actually what I meant to mention earlier. Someone posted on Twitter there's a cartoon, a children's cartoon, of Kobe Bryant crashing in a helicopter. And that's really weird. I mean, I don't know if that means we live in a simulation or what the hell that's about. But it's really creepy and weird when that kind of stuff happens.
Oh, what? How do you launch that thing?
The second button.
Oh.
Button right next to the shoot button. Yeah, so hit it. Launch it. Oh, fuck! Oh! You have to have them first, though.
Yeah, I'm not used to playing with arcade.
Joysticks?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Takes a little bit of getting used to. I had an arcade machine of a couple different games for a while that I would switch out, so I'm pretty used to the feel of them. There's a while, too, where I got so used to them that I couldn't play, like, fighting games without them. Like, doing special moves, like quarter circles and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes sense for fighting games. They used to have, oh, damn.
Oh, fuck. This is hard.
Yeah, they used to have, tournaments, like Street Fighter tournaments and stuff over by the... Jesus.
Or by the what?
It's over by the...
Holy shit.
God, where is it?
Get that, get that. Fuck.
It's over... It was, like, right below the, God, it's this... it's one of the tunnels. I can't, like, concentrate in order to...
In SF?
Yeah, it's in the city.
Okay. And they had this recently? Street Fighter tournament?
I think they closed down the place.
Oh, damn.
Like, a few years ago.
I would love to. Absolutely love to. If anyone wants to help make this happen on MAME Politics, that was dumb. Help me set up a Mortal Kombat tournament while we do an episode of MAME Politics. Mortal Kombat 2 and 3, specifically. I want to do a Mortal Kombat tournament on a real arcade machine while I'm streaming this.
Jesus.
And we're going to do like a marathon stream. Like a 12-hour long Mortal Kombat 2 tournament. Fucking shit!
Woo.
So when I said this game was easy in the first... This is not easy. This is actually almost... I would say this is getting harder than the other R-Type games. It started off easier, now it's harder.
Yeah.
Fuck. Oh, what? Oh, come on.
Whoa.
Holy
That
shit.
wrecks him.
Oh my god. did it.
I think I just took off like half of his health from like launching those.
Before
Stockton Tunnel is where it was by.
we should plan on playing another game, not the whole way through, but another game after this. So I feel like we're almost on the last level.
What the fuck? I suppose I thought that was you.
Oh my god, dude, this is hard. What the fuck? So you can't even shoot these things.
So
yeah, you can't even shoot these things. You just have to go.
Yeah.
Be patient while dodging all these projectiles too. Jesus Christ. What's that? Oh, fuck. Okay, finally. These things like make the game so much easier when you have them. And in the original R-Type, you could just sort of launch them in front of you. In this, they're like heat-seeking.
Yeah,
they like go and hit the enemies.
Yeah, it would just punch in front of you.
Jesus Christ. I wonder if this almost is harder with 2 players though. Like I wonder if
Oh, just the like.
the amount of shit happening, like the amount of enemies flying at you might increase. First of all, when you're 2 players, and then also just the amount of distraction of the other player being on the screen at the same time.
Yeah, I often get confused as to which one I am.
Like playing Contra for the original NES is definitely easier with 1 player. Shit. No, no, no. Oh, God.
Oh, God. I don't even know if we're really supposed to try to shoot those things or just avoid them.
Nice. Oh, my God. Fucking jump under his legs. This motherfucker. Jesus. Dude. There's 2 of them?
Good
Oh,
Lord.
come on. Maybe that's what changes in 2 players, is now we get to play 2 of the same boss. Or it's not even a boss, I guess, a mid-boss. Oh, shit. So what's on those Lev Parnas recordings? The one that I heard about, and that for some reason this was in the news today, that, wow, we get like every power-up we want right here?
That's awesome. And I'm dead.
What the fuck? So this is the real boss behind whatever the hell this thing is? Oh shit. What other Lev Parnas recordings were you guys hearing or seen mentioned? Because the only one I saw mentioned was the one where Trump says that marijuana gives you a lower IQ. When Lev Parnas, for some reason, was trying to lobby the Trump administration to let banks or start encouraging banks to do business with like legal recreational marijuana or medical marijuana. So I don't know if you guys know this, but most banks will not allow credit card transactions of anything marijuana related. Although debit card transactions, they've figured out some loophole where like cannabis dispensaries can use debit card transactions, but they have to almost do it as if you're at an ATM machine, so they like charge you a fee and all this weird shit. There's still all these weird loopholes in place to get around this stuff. Is that it? That can't be it. What? That's the final boss of the game, no way.
Maybe it's just the first level. Nope, that's the whole game.
That is a short-ass game, people. Short-ass.
I love how they're telling you what the plot was after you finish the game.
Oh, Barbara. Well, someone asked about the Duran. Do you know the Duran? It's like a Russian.
Duran.
It's like, I think it's like a Russian associated media outlet. It's not owned by the Russian government. Yeah, I didn't care for crosstalk when it was on RT, And I especially didn't care for crosstalk after Peter Lavelle directly was trying to encourage Abby's firing back in 2014 on Facebook. So Peter Lavelle is a little fucking rat, and he was actually encouraging the company to fire my sister on a social media post. And they actually didn't fire her. So I always fucking hated that guy ever since then. I never cared for his program before that, but fuck that guy. So yeah, Duran, you know, I'm actually less familiar with Duran, so I don't really have much of a comment on that. I just know that the same people, or one of the same people, is involved in it. So that's really my only frame of reference. But yeah, I was thinking, since we were getting so nerdy about FM synth stuff earlier, I feel like we should play a really FM synth heavy game.
Yeah.
Does anything come to mind?
I mean, I don't know what's really like, as far as like arcade games go. I'm not really sure. Like that version of God, what was it? It was before you played Rostan.
Rygar?
Yeah, Rygar. I've only played the NES version of that.
Yeah, totally different game.
Yeah, it looked completely different.
It has the same attacks and like sprite design almost of the main character, but yeah, there it is right there.
Yeah.
I have an idea. Have you played the original Strider?
Yeah, I think so.
You have?
Yeah.
That one has some really nice FM sound. It's only one player though. I think it's only one player at once. Let's see what Super Bagman is. Have you played this game, Sunset Riders?
I don't think so. It looks familiar. But
It's like a cartoon version of Contra that's like way easier to play, and it's just way more fun. 2 players simultaneous. We'll save that for another episode. But I think I want to let Colin play Strider a little bit. Do you feel like playing some Strider?
Yeah, I can do that.
While I introduce some more topics.
Before, yeah.
Okay. Here. So I think we might have to switch. We're gonna switch places here. So this game, Strider, is a classic. It's considered one of the best arcade side scrollers. I never played it really, but I turned it on fairly quickly before I started doing these streams, just to go through different games and check them out to see which games would be cool to play on here. And this game has some really nice FM synth stuff. Tom Collector, sorry we didn't see your comment. Altered Beast is another good choice, but I'd say Strider. I don't know, something about Strider's FM sound is just really, really juicy and nice. So I'm gonna turn it up. What the?
They probably have the double jump.
Can you guys hear me okay still over the music, or is it too loud? It's just so raw sounding.
Yeah. Like, I'm always amazed by like the amount of time it would have taken in order to design all these sounds.
Well, that's what's interesting about it, right? It's like
all this shit.
It's like, how did they design these sounds? This is one of the things that's always sort of been mysterious to me. And in my mind, I'm imagining them basically. Do you ever use the program SoundForge?
Oh yeah.
Or Stomper? Do you remember using the synth portion of SoundForge, where you can generate tones?
I didn't use it. I only used it for like waveform editing.
Okay. So there's this aspect of SoundForge, this old wave editing program, where you just have like you have the ability to, oh, this is great music. Okay, sorry, I'm going to stop for a second.
Oh, I should have gone under
This
that.
music here is fantastic.
That's cool. You can get health
Is my mic still too low?
But yeah, and like one of the things about these games is that you would like program them like you would, you know, write in code or something like that.
Yeah,
so, like,
I wonder
very little to help you actually like compose music.
Well, that's what's interesting to me, since I know so little about programming. Did like Capcom have like a development kit that had like the same or a similar engine that they would use for multiple games? Like for example, Ghosts and Goblins. Well, I feel like the sound glitched. Dude, listen to that sustained note in the background.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Okay, I'm gonna turn it back down a little bit so you can hear my voice better, because I'm worried.
How do you,
Yeah, Trish, I know what you mean. I haven't actually seen that personally, but I've heard the same thing from other people, that he's Islamophobic and that he said disparaging things about Muslims. If you guys know me or follow me on Twitter or have been listening to my other streams, you know how much of a pet peeve that is of mine.
I should have loaded up.
Oh no, what happened?
I died.
Oh, but it's you can actually continue though.
Oh yeah, okay.
Okay,
cool.
great.
This dragon guy.
I mean, that's part of the reason why I have such a strong dislike for Sam Harris, because he's trying to intellectualize and make Islamophobia a liberal issue, which is something that the Bush administration and the neocons were trying to do very hard after 9/11, and it didn't stick. It didn't actually work. People still defended Muslims' right to be alive in these countries.
Oh, I think it
no.
crashed. Yep. It done borked.
What was the other game somebody said? Have you played Altered Beast before?
Just like the
Sega Genesis?
Yeah, this the Genesis version. I mean, it's pretty much the same. The arcade one's like pretty much the same, right?
It is. It's just better. Actually, I have another FM game that we can play that's kind of wacky. That's 2 players at the same time.
2 players at the same time.
Oh God, sweet nugs. I obviously can't say it out loud here on YouTube for obvious reasons, but that was insane. That MSNBC word slip, let's call it, about the death.
I don't understand how those words aren't even close.
The Lakers. It was. I mean, it's kind of almost on the level of that reporter, that white blonde lady who said, "It's a very, very heavy birtation."
Yeah.
So, like she just like lost her mind, like live on the air.
Heavy birtations.
Yeah, that was weird, but yeah, that reporter who said that's going to be fired tomorrow. I mean, can you imagine if Fox News did that live on the air? We'd never hear the end of it. But obviously, this is going to be in people's memories for a long time. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and MSNBC is of all places for it to happen.
Let's see. So I don't think I've played this one for you guys before. Oh no, where is it? Hold on a sec.
Just based on that word slip and it being so close to Martin Luther King Day. Like I think there's a weird notion in the media about like Martin Luther King being like the guy who defeated racism.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's kind of represented that way.
Yeah.
I'd love to see a skit of like him in a boxing match against racism. Like actually like having fisticuffs.
Well, and also it kind of also whitewashes and compartmentalizes what his actual legacy was, what he was trying to make it about before he died. I mean, he was trying to make it about poverty and protesting the Vietnam War. Yeah. And we didn't learn about that in school. You know?
No.
Like it was just all about the fact that he was trying to defeat segregation, racism. So I think that's,
they're all connected. So like,
I think that's really fascinating. And sometimes propaganda is easier to decipher through what's actually not being talked about. So like a lie of omission Sometimes those are my favorite propaganda angles to explore. So yeah, this is the real Ghostbusters.
Oh,
Have you played this?
No, but is it? It's based on the show, The Real Ghostbusters.
Well, the show, The Real Ghostbusters, the reason they called it that is because the original Ghostbusters show was the one with like the ape, the time traveling like skeleton ape and whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
That's a really weird show. If you haven't seen The Ghostbusters, that came out before, I guess there were actually several lawsuits with the Ghostbusters movie. First, they got sued by the people who created Casper because the logo looked too similar to like one of the Casper ghosts, not Casper the ghost, but one of the other characters in Casper.
Yeah.
Then they got into some lawsuit with this cartoon that was called the Ghostbusters, and so that's why they changed the name to The Real Ghostbusters, to distinguish it from something else that already existed called the Ghostbusters. So yeah, this is FM synth score also. Yeah, you want to start it up and I'll join. Yeah, load it up with credits.
How many can you do? Just infinite?
Yeah. Don't do too many or else it'll like freeze up the machine with
like this.
Yeah, like that. How many you hit it 54 times?
I hit it a bunch. 66 times. And I'm a ghost.
Let's start. Nothing? You're trading there you go. Yeah, sometimes the start button is one of the buttons. It's weird.
That's one of the confusing things about, just because of like all of the arcades were like proprietary, so like
Now, I had a weird experience digging through the Pandora's box. I accidentally found another game that uses this exact engine. And not just the engine, but several like recycled sprites from the game too. You have 2 weapons in this game.
Oh, how do I get over there?
Just
that.
Wait, no, that's the power button.
Or the start button.
Shit.
What am I doing?
Sometimes these games. Sometimes some of these games, the 2-player function is not working on this one. It looks like.
Get out of here, you ghosts. I
Climb
can't
over
even...
the bridge.
Oh, I'm supposed to go over there. Yeah. It looked like it was obscuring the path. Like it looked like it was something that was blocking me. What am I doing?
Tom Collector, you might actually know which game I'm talking about that this game uses the same engine as. And I think the other game actually came out after this. It's another arcade game made by the same company that put this out.
Good. Go ahead. What is that?
So, someone pointed this out to me. It might have been you, Tom. I forget. So, if you're the one who pointed it out to me, thank you. And please mention yourself. Say hello in the chat. But Bill Kristol, one of our favorite neocons, has started a website that appears to be a comedy website of sorts called PresidentPence.com. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom of this website, you'll see that it was paid for by the Republicans for the Rule of Law, which is some kind of PAC or lobbying group that Bill Kristol started. And
sounds fair.
Yeah, it sounds fair, right? And it's also kind of a funny sort of concern troll on Trump that implies that people who support Trump are not for the rule of law. So it's a great sort of putting himself on a moral high horse. And of course, it can't go without saying that Bill Kristol thinks he's for the rule of law when he was for torture, racial profiling, borderline genocide in Iraq, and a multitude of other horrific things that only really serial killers would be okay with. So, you know, his whole purpose after 9/11 was to change the rule of law to basically allow things like torture and crushing children's testicles. So, it's all, you know, you can't help but find that name not just funny, but also deeply offensive. So,
jeez.
Yeah, check out this website if you haven't seen it already. It looks like Bill Kristol took a little picture of himself wearing a MAGA hat. But by MAGA, I mean, what is the actual acronym breakdown that Trump put here? I mean, not Trump.
Trump. Bill
Kristol is the new Billy Crystal's the new Trump. I'm gonna look this up here. So if you scroll down to PresidentPence.com right now, you'll see Bill Kristol wearing what appears to be a MAGA hat at first glance that says "Mike's all right, given alternative." Very clever, Bill. Yeah, I mean, the fact that he paid for this out of his own budget or whatever the hell, slush fund he has from defense companies, pretty bizarre that he would make this webpage.
This is like pretty.
It's good. I mean, some of it's not nice.
Just the gameplay is kind of frustrating because like you can't really switch your direction without moving in that direction. Like you can't fire in a different direction to where you're going. I want all these damn ghosts off of this damn plane. Of existence.
I would, Adam G, I would have appreciated the website more if it had some like really harsh Mike Pence jokes in there about like his sexuality, like saying like how he calls his wife mother and just really, really disturbing shit.
The fact that he is like Skinner from The Simpsons.
Set Shot says he has a dumb question, but I actually don't know the answer to the question, so it's not dumb according to me. But he asks, "What is a sprite? How would you define a sprite in a video game?"
A sprite?
Yeah, like what how would what would it even be?
It's it's basically a character.
Like a video game asset.
Yeah, it's an asset in the game. It's an assemblage of pixels that make when you look at the game. That's what you like. Each one of these things has a pixel, or sorry, a sprite to it.
Yeah, each one of those little guys in the mud is an individual sprite. The character that you're playing as, the Ghostbusters, is a sprite. That ladder is a sprite. Probably that's a separate sprite. Those little roadblocks are sprites.
Yeah, and they're all pulled from like outside of where you see this screen, of what's like on the screen. So like outside of this screen is where they actually formally exist, like in the program. Like they're like outside of.
Yeah. Why do you have Slimer? Tom Collector, does the Ghostbusters theme just keep playing for the whole game? If so, we're gonna have to change to another game.
I kind of agree with him.
But I think we need to pick another FM Synth 2-player game. What do you think? Should we go for Terminator 2 Arcade?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we should.
You think that'll be a good one?
Yeah.
The only unfortunate thing about T2 Arcade on here is every time I boot it up on the Pandora's box, I have to recalibrate the guns, which are played by our joysticks. So you have to bear with us once I boot that one up. Where is Zool? Says Reed Marks. Yeah, I think Zool probably comes in at the end, but I don't see any movie references except for Slimer so far. I bet you I would be willing to bet it's just the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man at the end. There's not going to be a Zool in this.
Or some kind of unlicensed character that you've never.
Just like something just like something random.
Stay
that's not
Puft
even a
Marshmallow
toy
Man
or anything. I still actually like fantasize about the Ghostbusters toys.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We should probably switch let's change up the music, which means we're gonna change up the game.
All right. So we're gonna play Terminator 2 arcade game now, and this game has a bunch of sampled sound in it, but it also has a ton of really great FM synth sounds, especially the music. You ready to do this?
Yeah. Where do we? I don't.
I'm gonna have to operate here. Let's switch back.
Okay.
Now. How's the sound now, guys? Is it too fucky?
Too quiet.
There was another T2 game that was terrible. Which game was that, NMG? I don't know. I don't remember playing another Terminator 2 game. There was, I think, an Alien 3 game that was using all sprites similar to Terminator 2. And that I can't run on here, but it's a really great game as well. Yeah, Tom Collector, the T2 pinball was really awesome. One of my favorite video game composers is Dan Forden, the guy who made music for Mortal Kombat, and he also did a lot of Midway's pinball games as well. The sound and the music for them. Volta Vin, when you say FM synth recommendations, are you asking for pieces of music or hardware to make music on? Should we do maybe 15, 20 more minutes?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Spelunker.
Have you played the original Spelunker? For Nintendo?
Just the Nintendo one.
Do you remember how hard that game was?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's impossible. I don't even think I beat the second level in that game. It was probably one of the hardest Nintendo games I ever can remember playing.
God, I got the new Call of Duty, and
You did?
Yeah, just because I liked the Modern Warfare series.
Xbox?
Yeah, I got it for Xbox.
Talk about it.
Because I used to play Halo competitively. So,
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I used to play in tournaments. I was ranked
Nice.
in the top 150 or something, and
Oh, shit.
yeah, and so I played Modern Warfare for a while, and I played the new one, and I finished it on the hardest level setting in 2 sittings.
Okay.
Which is not commentary on my skills, because I haven't played competitively in forever. So I hit.
Here, no, not yet.
Okay.
I do this.
Oh.
And then... Here, I didn't mean to distract you from your story. I want you to finish it in a second.
But anyway, it just
Nice shot.
you have to calibrate
Yeah.
these things. Weird. But yeah, it really says something about the
Nice shot.
kind of
No problem.
difficulty level of video games in the last 20 years and how they've changed a lot.
Mhm.
Or even the last 30 years.
You think they've gotten easier?
Yeah, I think that AAA games have definitely gotten easier.
Yeah.
Mega Man 3 versus the newest Call of
Oh,
Duty
yeah.
game,
Oh, no. I know what you
worlds
mean. Yeah,
apart.
for sure. I mean, also, it seems like it's just all about online transactions now too. So, you can't die if you have an online character on the GTA Online. It can't die. Do you know what I mean? You can't ever permanently lose your character if you do poorly in the game.
Yeah.
So inherently, it's almost whatever that Ready Player One scenario is, where you can actually die and lose your character in the game and lose all your video game money, is never going to happen.
No.
It'll always be
No.
So-
So they want you to play more.
yeah, they incentivize. It's inherently built into capitalism that eventually all video games will get easier
Yeah. It's,
and make you feel like you're progressing and getting some endorphin rush continuously.
Yeah.
It's like that Star Trek game. Did you see the TNG episode with the little floating ball that goes into the hoop? The orgasm game?
Oh yeah, I've seen every episode of TNG 3 times at least. Yeah, what was that? It was Wesley starts playing it.
Yeah. Wesley really got into it. It was
Yeah, I'm
Ashley Judd.
I'm like, man, this game sucks.
All right. So we're gonna sign off today playing Terminator 2 Arcade, and we haven't actually played any Midway games.
I want to go play. Put the ball in the hoop.
Yeah.
Do you have put the ball?
This
in the
game
hoop?
this game won't
The
make you
VR
come like that one will. This will just
Give you a massive boner.
Yeah, this is just a classic shoot 'em up, in the style of Mortal Kombat. I mean, it uses a lot of digitized sprites. It seems to use actual exclusive sprites of Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I don't know if it actually does. And it seems to also have what appears to be or sounds like an Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonator saying new lines that weren't in Terminator 2, like "No way, Jose," and what else did they say in this? Do you know what I mean? There's
I haven't
here,
played this
check it out.
since I played
Let's
it in the
insert a
arcade.
credit and see what it does. See, does he say that in Terminator 2? So
I don't recall now.
yeah, so somebody can tell me, is that Arnold Schwarzenegger? I mean, if it was, they probably had to pay him a shitload of money for doing it. Okay, this is a weird tip. If you shoot the Terminator's heads and delay your gunshot enough to not kill them, you can get a chip to fly out of their head. If you then shoot the chip, really cool stuff happens. What the fuck? It'll be almost impossible with joysticks. Okay.
So I get to put a ball in a hoop?
Yeah.
It's like a meta game. Wait a second. Yeah, and then you come stupid hard.
That is not in T2. That
Like a
is...
fire hose.
I want to know where the hell that comes from.
Righteous.
Okay. So here we go. Ooh, the beginning is great. Oh, it's so good.
3 billion. That sounded like a lot at one point.
Oh, this music is so good, dude. Check this out.
Okay, I'll just do the right side.
Oh, shit. Forgot we're not supposed to kill them. Fuck. Fuck it. They're already dead.
So it's like a weird mechanic of like, the closer they are, the harder they are to kill.
Oh, shit. You also have bombs, which shows you how many you have at the top. Usually they're good for shooting these guys in the background. Oh, shit. FM synth tracks I like. What about you, Colin? Are any that come to mind, like old video game soundtracks that are FM synth oriented?
Well,
you think are really good?
Like I said earlier, Chakan the Forever Man.
Chakan the Forever Man on Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
That starts with a C, right? Is that how it's spelled?
Yeah.
Chakan.
Like Shaka Khan.
Yeah. For me, the Aliens soundtrack, arcade soundtrack, is really, really good. You could download that. There's actually like a official soundtrack release of it. The original Pit Fighter. Some of the older Atari, or not older, but like mid-period Atari games. Can you guys hear me okay on here? I just want to make sure in case I'm not even being picked up at all.
You don't really hear any of the music.
Mic
in
is
this.
clipping. Okay.
Oh, I'm dead.
Let's put some more quarters in there. Trying to think of other arcade games. Mortal Kombat 1 soundtrack official release is really, really good. FM synthesis. If you could find the original Doom music soundtrack,
Yeah, that one's really good.
the ad-lib version of it, which is like that was basically the name for a certain type of computer sound card FM synthesis. There's people who've put the ad-lib version of the Doom soundtrack and Doom 2 soundtrack on YouTube that you can listen to. I'm trying to think of some other ones that I really like. Check out the Brian E. release, Dusty Cart, which is in the style of Sega Genesis soundtracks.
Did you ever get into Tracker Matt?
No. Does his music kind of like that?
Yeah, he uses a bunch of FM sounds.
Tracker Matt, how's it spelled?
Tracker. And
Yeah.
then MATTE.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the same guy as Rolando Simmons, who admittedly uses a lot more analog stuff. Being his name, Roland and Simmons.
Okay. Yeah, I think I've listened to a little bit of that stuff on Bandcamp. It's kind of Aphex Twin inspired, right? It's sort of like brain dancey.
Yeah, it's very much Aphex. Like Aphex Twin played one of his tracks.
Oh, okay.
At Houston back in 2016.
Nice. Aphex Twin also played a track from my record label by an artist named Horge Jerrison.
Yeah, that was.
Were you there at that one? That was
there.
The one you were there at. Yeah.
Yeah, because I started playing it.
Yeah, that was weird.
And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it basically like really helped the sales of the record on my label. I mean, so thank you, Richard D. James.
Yeah, it was weird. It like took me a moment. Like as the track started, I was like, I've heard this before. Because you had sent it to me.
Yeah, I sent you the whole record right after we got it mastered by Noel Somerville.
Yeah.
Who's a fucking excellent mastering engineer.
Did you listen to any of the RTR album?
RTR? By
Yeah.
Aphex?
No, it was released by Analogical Force, the record label.
No, I don't think I have.
The artist name is RTR.
I don't think I did, no.
And it basically just sounds like all of the... God, what was the name that... So like, Horge Garrison kind of emulates a bunch of the... it's like that German name. Steinboard. Did you ever listen to Steinboard stuff?
Oh, totally, yeah.
It's like RTR basically sounds like the same thing.
Interesting. No, I definitely haven't heard it then. Nice. Lords of Acid was more of like a novelty for me when I was like a horny young teenager. I remember like being like, oh man, this is badass when I was like maybe like 13, 12, like the song Sit on My Face. The local FM radio station, Live 105, would play that song late at night. Like Crab Louse was like from the most recent album of Lords of Acid at the time. But Sit on My Face, I think, was the one that they would like play late at night that was like dirtier. And it was from an older album, and I remember being like, oh, this is like the best band ever. That wasn't really my pathway into electronic music. I think more for me, bands like Nine Inch Nails and Skinny Puppy and those kind of bands had more of my pathway into electronic music. How did you get into electronic music, Colin?
It was video games definitely.
Yeah?
And then there was like a radio station. Yeah, so like I suppose like mostly video games, and then the Mortal Kombat soundtrack, and then from there I learned like KMFDM and Sister Machine Gun.
Nice. So the Mortal Kombat soundtrack.
Yeah.
The movie soundtrack.
Yeah, the movie soundtrack.
Nice. Okay.
Because I was a big fan of the game.
Yeah. I didn't even use any of my bombs, dude. I'm just taking these motherfucker out. Jesus Christ. Fuck. Oh, dude, we got him. So many bombs left? Holy shit. Oh, we fucked it up.
Whoa. Eliminated.
You get to keep your bombs after you die, too. That's one nice thing about this game.
Yeah, that's dope. So yeah, I guess like the Mortal Kombat soundtrack, and from there I just kind of started listening to like there was a local radio station
in Ohio.
Yeah, in Columbus.
Okay.
That,
Like college radio station.
Yeah, it was college radio.
Uh-huh.
And they had like an hour of techno on Saturday, and then they had like an hour of like trip hop kind of stuff. So like I learned about like Portishead and DJ Shadow and stuff through there.
Nice.
That kind of stuff.
So what was your first like did you make like a first purchase of an electronic music CD that you can remember? Like something like that was in the league of like Aphex Twin or something, or like something from Warp, or do you remember what like your first purchase was?
No,
Like
I like my brother. He's like 3 years older than I am. And so, oh, I killed this guy. Whoops.
See, this is not Arnold Schwarzenegger, but they made these characters look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And one of the things that the Terminator universe tried to like retcon later on is that all the T-800s or whatever these model of Terminator is supposed to be, in the original movie, it shows other T-800s that don't look like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
That are like other just regular looking like buff dudes. Remember?
Yeah.
So, I don't know what the deal is when they decided to make them Arnold Schwarzeneggers, but this actually might be the first time in Terminator lore that they did that. And I don't know, and you could argue, well, it's just because they wanted to recycle the same sprite over and over again. But this might be the first time that we actually saw like a bunch of Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminators getting created and being used at once in Terminator lore. No, seriously.
Because didn't they need dogs in order to like identify them?
Yeah, exactly. So they all look like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Otherwise,
they would just be like, look for a dude that looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Hey, it's that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Shoot him.
I didn't see
No, I'm a human.
I didn't see Dark Fate yet, Tom Collector. Did you, Colin?
What?
Terminator Dark Fate.
No,
You're off the Terminator train.
I saw the third one and was like, all right, that didn't exist.
Yeah.
That never happened.
Okay, so you were already off the train by number 3.
Yeah.
See, I kind of liked 3 a little bit, but then I didn't like any of the ones after that.
It wasn't terrible.
Okay.
And like the ending was okay. It just wasn't. It's just clearly not as good as the other two.
Did you guys hear about these masked protesters in Hong Kong burning down this quarantine facility because of a disease outbreak over there? Pretty crazy stuff. I would say that it seems staged to me, like that it's not the Hong Kong protesters actually doing it, that it's some group trying to make them look bad. But at the same time, I've also seen like Oakland protesters during Occupy Oakland events do things that would be exactly like what the cops would want them to do, like just randomly start a fire in a dumpster for no reason and just like run away and shit. So, I mean, who knows? It's really crazy though. What do you guys think about that? Shit. I'm not supposed to kill them.
Yeah, I kind of stopped trying.
These levels are long.
Did you ever play Area 51?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite one at the arcade. That one in like House of the Dead.
House of the Dead was
years
great.
after.
Yeah, the arcade version of House of the Dead is great. Did you ever play Typing of the Dead?
No.
They had
Typing
arcade
of the Dead.
machines when I first went to Japan. That's the first time I saw it.
It's the horrible typing of the dead.
Where it looks exactly like House of the Dead. You run through the same like rail script, and you actually have to like type. It's like a teaching game where you have to just type a word into the thing really fast that it tells you to type, and then it shoots the enemy for you automatically.
We played one of those when I was like in the 6th grade. That was like Mario, basically. Like one of those typing.
Oh yeah. Mario teaches typing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I played the shit out of that.
Is there another FM game?
Yeah, this is not very FM-y.
Yeah, this sounds like.
Well, I could probably pull one up that's not 2 players at the same time.
2 players, same time.
You want to? You guys mind if we go out with a different game? I think the Hong Kong protests are really interesting in the sense that the media here talks about them constantly, and there's so many other protests happening in other parts of the world that the media selectively doesn't talk about. So we can't let this truck get killed. But yeah, we're gonna quit this game and we're gonna try to play another FM synth game. Before we sign off here, do you have anything in mind? Maybe we could just pull up something that I've never seen before.
What the hell is Trog?
Wait, didn't you say River City Ransom?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did say that. Yeah, okay.
Oh, is it on here?
Yeah, it's got to be on here. Somewhere.
I'm not sure if it was an arcade game. I know it was NES.
I think it was an arcade game. We're gonna try to find River City Ransom.
I wanted to like take.
No, wait.
I wanted to make a version of that game where it's just a hot dog beating up other food.
Like Burger Time?
No, but it's like basically like take River City Ransom and then just replace the sprites with like food items.
Uh-huh.
So it's like this hot dog that's like
We should put that together.
beating up a bunch of bananas and shit.
What is this game? This looks very weird. Maybe we can try this. This could be an FM game. I've never played this before. Have you seen this? Search and Rescue?
No.
Looks really gory.
Ominous.
Oh, SNK 1989. So there would definitely be some more FM sounds in this one. Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's
Here we
very
go.
Doom-like.
All right. Can you even turn?
Jesus. I love these death
Damn, they're
animations.
really
They're
over the
awesome.
top.
This is like kind of like the thing.
I can like do a dive or something. The other button does like a dive roll. I just died. What? Where do we go? Wait, I don't understand.
Maybe it's. Oh. I'm supposed to go all the way to the left.
Oh shit. Wait, did we just walk past the boss? Wait, what? What happened? Well, that was really weird. I feel like the controls have to be different. You can only shoot up? And why does this look like a total ripoff of the Xenomorph from Alien? Look at that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, there's got to be another way to be able to shoot down or something. Wait,
Well,
I just turned with a button. Wait a second. There's a turn button. This one looks like it turns. Let's try that one.
Oh, yeah.
But that can't possibly be the way to play this game, right?
What the fuck?
It makes you turn like in a clockwise direction.
Which
Oh no, wait. There's two buttons. Weird. Okay. Wow, the controls are really weird to play this way. Okay.
This.
Shit.
I like aspects of this. But this really is, like, kind of hard to play.
Yeah, the controls need to be oriented differently. Maybe in the arcade, the way that it was laid out made more sense
Yeah.
to spin around and stuff, but yeah. Should we try to play something else?
I don't know. Like, I really like. I
No, I
watching
mean,
these
it's
guys
cool.
explode.
If we can just keep going through it. Hey.
Still screaming.
Lori's here to say hi, yeah.
Hi.
You're gonna say hi?
What?
Don't die.
I can't die. Where am I going? Oh, I think that we have to move together, yeah.
Oh, so you can charge your weapon if you hold down the shoot button. I didn't understand that at first.
Oh, jeez.
How's Dougie? I did.
I'm gonna fall off the edge. This kind of sounds like KMFDM a little bit.
It's got a nice soundtrack, yeah. If it was only for the controller, if the controllers were better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got this great, great sound.
I don't understand.
What are you not understanding?
Like, my guy doesn't turn. Like,
Here,
at
you
all.
gotta use these. Look. Nothing?
Yeah,
Oh
my-
shit, so yours aren't even oriented. Okay,
Yeah,
weird.
yeah, not even doing it.
Sorry. I completely
Like, I
misled
can
you.
jump and shoot, and that's basically it. He just lacks military training. Man, these animations are fucking awesome.
Xenomorph.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, there's a lot of cool SNK games. This is the same company that put out the Neo Geo console system and the MVS arcade board system. Very prolific arcade game company. I just dove right into him.
Chagaman.
Should we wrap now? What do you think? So, yeah, thanks everybody for watching today's episode of MAME Politics, episode 15. And Colin, where can people get your music? And what's your alias, too?
So I go under my name as Colin Dyer, and you can go to my Bandcamp page at colindyer.bandcamp.com. And also I go under another alias called William S. Braintree, which is williamsbraintree.bandcamp.com. So that has all my music on it, or at least most of it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely check out his music. If you dig the type of stuff I do and the type of stuff on Media Roots Radio, you would dig Colin's music as well. And yeah, so thanks for joining us for today's episode of MAME Politics. If you want to get access to all of the episodes of MAME Politics, some of them are locked. And if you become a Patreon subscriber of mine, you can get access to all of them immediately. But for now, if you're not a Patreon subscriber, I've put them all in a playlist that you can access from my YouTube channel, A Very Heavy Agenda. And thanks again, guys. So, oh yeah, and we have a new episode of Media Roots Radio coming out later this evening, an interview with Yasha Levine. So, thanks.